I've been living at sea full-time for 18 years. I've cruised tens of thousands of miles on different super yachts around the world as a chief engineer. I've sailed over 40,000 miles around the globe on my own hurricane-damaged catamaran, and after all these years, my number one cruising destination is the South Pacific. Being so remote in the middle of the South Pacific is a thing that scares a lot of people off from venturing off the coast of Central America, but it's also the thing that makes it so incredibly rewarding to do.
I've thought about this exact moment for years.
In this film, I'm going to take you on a journey all the way across the South Pacific from Panama to New Caledonia via my home country of New Zealand, sharing some of the most incredible highlights, often only accessible by sea. If sailing across the South Pacific is something that you've never considered doing, well, it should be, and I'm here to tell you why. So your journey across the South Pacific will most likely begin with you taking a huge leap of faith and leaving the well-traveled path of the Caribbean to commit to heading out into the Pacific Ocean. You will want to make sure you sail through the Sandblast Islands before the start of the Panama Canal, which we found to be one of the most picturesque places in the whole of the Caribbean. It is home to the Cunayala indigenous people, and you get spoiled for choice with island after island of white sandy beaches and an endless supply of coconuts. From the Sandblast Islands, you will head to Shelter Bay Marina, where your transit of the Panama Canal begins. This incredible engineering marvel will take you from the Caribbean to the Pacific Ocean in just a matter of 1 or 2 days, where even the largest ships in the world get floated 85 feet above sea level through a series of locks which were built over 100 years ago.
We're about to come up to the first locks.
Those boys up on the docks, they're gonna throw us those lines.
Oh, nice!
These are the massive dock lines that we're gonna then throw back to them, and they're gonna control exactly where we move.
You then transit across a man-made lake and back down the descending locks to end up in Panama City.
Behind these doors is the Pacific Ocean! I'm so excited!
And you are now in the Great Pacific Ocean.
What an incredible moment for Parlay going through the Panama Canal.
From here, it is worth continuing to explore Panama before setting off across the Pacific. One of our favourite stops was Playa Vanuatu, around the corner from Panama City, which is a quaint little surf town where you can anchor right in the bay and walk straight down to the surf break. From here, you can head up to Coiba National Park, which is home to some world-class diving, where we were fortunate enough to have our first ever encounter with a whale shark.
Holy cow, that was incredible. That was so stinking cool. I don't know how big he was, 14, 15 foot, something like that.
Once you're done exploring this coast, you can sail back to Panama City to do your final provisioning before clearing out of the country and stepping off into the Pacific Ocean. Panama City has several large supermarkets, so you'll have plenty of options to buy enough food to last you a few weeks out at sea. An excellent place to wait for a weather window to cross the Pacific are the Las Perlas Islands. Once you leave here, you won't be seeing land again until you reach the Galapagos Islands. Pushing off the coast of the Americas and heading out into the Pacific Ocean was one of the most exhilarating days of my life.
We're doing it! Feels real now. So stoked.
As you embark on a journey that not many humans will ever experience, sailing across the biggest ocean in the world. When sailing the route across the Pacific Ocean from Panama, stopping at the incredible Galapagos Islands is a must. But right before you arrive, you get to experience another milestone that not many humans will ever accomplish, and that is sailing across the equatorial line.
Okay, so what we have here are the food scraps that we've been keeping for the last few days. That stinks.
There is an age-old tradition for the line crossing ceremony, where sailors graduate from pollywogs to shellbacks under the judgment of King Neptune, but not without some sacrifice. But once completed, crew join an elite group of sailors who have crossed over from one hemisphere to the other in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And what better way to be rewarded after this rite of passage than to see the breathtaking Galapagos Islands slowly start appearing on your horizon. Sailing into the Galapagos Islands isn't just a voyage, it's a passage into another world. As you approach the volcanic shores by sea, the Galapagos rise from the Pacific like something lost in time. Frigate birds glide overhead and sea lions greet you at anchor. Beneath the hull, reef sharks and rays glide silently through the water, and it's no wonder Charles Darwin found his spark of discovery here. But even above the water, the magic doesn't stop. The islands are teeming with creatures found nowhere else on Earth. You'll hike lava fields covered in marine iguanas, blue-footed boobies, Galapagos penguins, and visit highlands where 500-pound tortoises roam. This is where you begin to understand evolution not just as a theory, but as something you can see, hear, and touch. On San Cristobal, you can paddle out and ride clean Pacific waves with sea turtles cruising beneath your board and no crowds in sight. You'll most likely have this place all to yourself, although you may find company in the odd curious sea lion. And of course, you can't go to Galapagos without exploring the underwater world, where you'll be surrounded by dozens of hammerhead sharks cruising all around you with a distant but watchful eye. It's one of the most unforgettable dives on the planet. Each island has its own ecosystem, its own story. This is a place where nature isn't part of the background, it's in charge. And if you're chasing adrenaline, this archipelago delivers. To sail into the Galapagos Islands is to step out of the ordinary world and into a living timeline, where the wildlife is not just preserved, but celebrated. Exploring here on your own boat is not just a voyage, it's a privilege. Once you set sail from the Galapagos Islands, you will not be seeing land again for 3,000 nautical miles. You will find yourself in the most remote place on the planet and have weeks to contemplate life and how small and insignificant we really are compared to the vast expanse of the biggest ocean in the world.
You got more time to think about anything, all the issues in your life while you're out here. I mean, it really puts things into perspective, what's important and what you value, you know? Yeah, it's been really special.
The months and months of preparation, both mentally and physically, to do this trip will suddenly have all become worth it as you realize you're on your way to achieving something not many people are brave enough to ever attempt. And after being at sea for so long, with your vessel being your entire world for the last few weeks, you will suddenly be hit with the magnificent sight of the volcanic mountains of the Marquesas Islands slowly but surely start to tower over you as you cruise into what feels like another universe. This will be one of the most profound moments of your entire life.
I've thought about this exact moment for years. My hands are like shaking, like it's just
insane. The brought tears to my eyes.
The feeling is real now.
This is the reason why we want to sail. You got a passage that's like so long, but this makes everything worth it.
I had tears rolling down my cheeks. We were in complete awe at not only the beauty of the islands, but at the monumental accomplishment of this vessel and her crew. This, my friends, is an emotion too difficult to put into words. When the shock of not being at sea anymore finally settles, and you find motivation to drop the dinghy and step on land for the first time, you will ironically feel a little wobbly standing on something stationary.
So excited!
Land for the first time in 20 days! Oh yeah! Oh yeah, baby! Land!
It's a huge contrast to be immersed in such magnificent scenery after being surrounded by nothing but blue ocean for the last few weeks. The Marquesas Islands will leave you lost for words, and it's worth applying for a long stay visa beforehand if you aren't in a rush. But for us, we only had 3 months to spend in French Polynesia, so we reluctantly had to keep moving down the island chains. The next destination, and arguably the most beautiful, are the Tuamotu Islands, only a few hundred miles downwind from the Marquesas. Here you will find the most incredible atolls, where you'll feel like you're in the middle of someone's postcard collection. They often have a challenging pass to navigate into the lagoon, but once inside, you're treated to some of the prettiest islands you've seen in your life, along with some of the friendliest people you'll ever meet. The entire experience is so humbling, as you experience how the locals live with such a minimalistic lifestyle, yet are so generous to the point where everything is shared and no one misses out. Further downwind, you will finally arrive in Moorea and Tahiti, where you may be fortunate enough to get up close and personal with the humpback whales passing through, which is one of the most incredible underwater moments of my life so far. To see the sheer size and beauty of these creatures up close is something to behold. And the gracefulness of these whales leaves you feeling connected and humbled by Mother Nature like never before.
Oh my God, that was unbelievable. Did you see? Oh my God.
Tahiti also has 2 marinas where you can plug into some shore power and enjoy some air conditioning, offload some trash, or take the opportunity to bring your provisions right to the boat at the dock. It was here that we got to attend the friendly regatta event hosted by the South Pacific Sailing Network, which turned out to be so much more than just a race.
We're on! We're racing!
This organization was developed by multiple South Pacific countries to promote this vast yet underrated corner of the world. Many of these countries are still so untouched by modern civilization and deeply ingrained in their cultures and traditions passed down from generation to generation.
Let's go, guys! Take it in! Come on!
The cultural displays put on by the locals makes you feel like you are traveling back in time. And the SPSN have worked hard to educate everyone on not only the ins and outs of sailing across the South Pacific, but most importantly, to make us all feel welcome in each nation, and this shines through without a doubt. While still in Tahiti, an incredible experience was to be able to attend the World Surf League competition at Taupo, one of the most dangerous waves in the world. To be there on our own boat had us excited like little kids.
This is so cool to be here.
As the world's best surfers all came together to try conquer this beast of a wave.
That's absolutely nuts.
Just the vibe, the energy. I can't imagine to be on a heat with so many eyes looking at you.
And of course, only a couple hundred miles downwind of here, you have the famous Bora Bora Islands, which are synonymous with the ultimate wedding venues or honeymoon destination. But the average person may never be able to afford a week in this paradise. So to have your own boat parked inside this picturesque atoll instills a feeling of privilege and honor, without the extortionate resort bills. But if you're like me and prefer to be more off-grid, immersed in the culture of the South Pacific, then you can make your final stop in French Polynesia in the much lesser known islands of Maupiti or Maupiha. Knowing that this would be our last experience in this nation, we integrated ourselves into the local community to share food, stories, and even some manual labor to help an island family who only see a supply ship every couple of months. In places like this, a helping hand goes a long way.
Each layer has to go that much higher than the last.
And the sense of camaraderie in such a remote location is a truly gratifying feeling indeed. This is the best thing about being part of the cruising community, being free to travel to such remote locations and have experiences that are only possible with your own boat.
Unbelievable. You just can't find that at a normal tourist spot. This is so unique, and I will remember this the rest of my life.
But further along on your travels, the spectacular sights of the South Pacific continue as your downwind sails find you safely arriving into the Kingdom of Tonga. Here, the SPSN put on another sailing event for the dozens of cruisers making their way across the Pacific.
We just got overtaken, so we're going to bring out the big dog, Spinnaker.
In the form of another friendly regatta through the islands of Vanuatu.
Gonna celebrate our 7th place.
cultural experience here is quite different to French Polynesia, and you'll have the pleasure of experiencing your first bowl of kava, most likely accompanied by the tuneful melody of the locals singing and strumming along on their guitar. One thing you'll experience about the Tongan culture is that their hospitality is second to none. They have a sense of family and religion deeply ingrained into their society, and any opportunity to share a meal together is taken up in a heartbeat, and they take their job of making sure no one goes hungry very seriously. Much like the rest of Polynesia, you immediately feel welcome in Tonga, like a sense of belonging and that everything is a shared experience. If the thousands of miles you've sailed have taken a toll on your vessel, then our friend Joe at the boatyard Vanuatu will tend to all of your needs before you sail onwards through the South Pacific. But you'll inevitably want to stick around for a while as the humpbacks turn up one after the other, and you get to experience yet another unbelievable underwater encounter with these enormous animals, more than likely accompanied by a friendly and curious calf who will make you wish this moment never ends. To protect the whales here in Tonga, it is forbidden to swim with them without going with a licensed operator, so we went with the team at the Kraken and were not disappointed. South of Vanuatu, you have the Ha'apai group of islands, which is not to be missed, and is up there with some of the most gorgeous islands you've seen on your travels thus far. A little further south, you have Nuku'alofa, which provides the perfect shelter at Big Mama's anchorage before you prepare to head offshore again. The people of Tonga are what makes this place particularly special, and we made friends with some locals who kindly showed us some of the hidden gems in the area. In classic Tongan fashion, the process to clear out is easy and relaxed, and you're now ready to head off on your next adventure, which for us was sailing to New Zealand. But not long after we had left Tongan waters, were we gifted with another one of those once-in-a-lifetime experiences, when a sperm whale happened to cruise straight past us, and even turned around and came back towards us.
Just jumped in and they're right, the whale is just chilling right here. Oh my God, it's right in front of them.
So we scrambled into the water to be met eye to eye with this magnificent creature. Yet another one of those incredibly rare and magical experiences only possible if you're out there exploring on a boat.
Oh my
Good intro to Tonga?
That was amazing. So amazing. Whoa.
To this day, swimming with whales is the most beautiful experience I've ever had in the ocean.
The sail south to New Zealand will be the first time since leaving Panama that you will venture out of the consistent trade winds and find yourself in colder and more challenging weather conditions as you head into higher latitudes.
It's pretty wild. There's definitely that 3-meter swell hitting us straight on the side and the boat's going like that. Yep. This is what it's all about.
For me, sailing home into New Zealand waters was something I had dreamt of as a child. So the arrival into Opua, after traveling thousands of miles to do so, came down on me like a ton of bricks.
We did it.
It is in this moment that you can reflect on everything you have overcome to get here, across the biggest ocean in the world, and reminisce all of the mind-blowing experiences you've had just to get here.
To have it happening now is pretty unreal. It feels like I'm dreaming or something. It hasn't actually sunk in yet.
And what a place to arrive to. The Bay of Islands is a sailor's dream, with countless islands and anchorages scattered through the beautiful New Zealand scenery. And the contrast between the islands you have just sailed through and here makes it all the more special. For us, we wanted to see as much of New Zealand as possible, so we set out on a clockwise circumnavigation of the country, with our first major stop being Auckland, the city I grew up in.
This is my first time sailing into Auckland. What an awesome feeling.
And to have my own boat here in these waters will stay with me for the rest of my life.
Oh man, this is emotional.
It wasn't long until we headed offshore bound for Great Barrier Island, which happens to be where my whole family are living now.
Oh, this is the biggest pot of dolphins I've ever seen. They are all around us.
A highlight here is Smokehouse Bay, which was built by locals just for the cruisers and the fishermen in the area, to relax, cook meals, and enjoy some time on land at no cost other than a voluntary donation.
A little taste of home here in New Zealand. And the smell's so rich. It's like a eucalyptus almost that they're burning. So this place is just so cool.
Heading south from here, you will have the entire east coast of New Zealand at your disposal, with places like Wellington and Christchurch providing great shelter and wild scenery.
Look at the backdrop. Just don't get this in the North Island of New Zealand. It's just absolutely breathtaking.
You will eventually find yourself in Stewart Island, the most southern part of our country. Here, everything changes. The weather is colder, the seas are more fierce, and the locals are even more laid back than wherever you just came from. It is home to a large number of great white sharks, which we got up close and personal with at Edwards Island.
It's hard to describe. It doesn't actually feel like real life. I actually haven't heard of anyone that's done that on their sailboat before. As usual, I have to pinch myself. This is insane.
Just around the corner from here is Fiordland, with arguably the most spectacular scenery in the entire country, if not the world.
Yeah, it's stunning.
Entering the fjords, you're surrounded by the most spectacular mountains and waterfalls you've ever seen in your life. And the place feels more like Jurassic Park than anywhere humans would inhabit.
Felt like 30 knots just at the bottom of the waterfall coming straight out. Never felt anything like that before. Crazy. Man, this place is just next level.
There are actually very few people living down here, which makes the place feel even more remote.
It makes me feel so proud to be from here and to have this kind of beauty exist in our own country.
Only a few cray fishermen cruise the area, and we got some very strange looks when they saw a Lagoon 450 cruising all the way down in these waters.
Have a wee friggin' tie up and a wee snooze for a few hours before it starts again.
If you have ventured this far south, you have the daunting task of finding your way back up the west coast of New Zealand, which was some of the wildest seas we've been in to date. Luckily, we had picked a weather window good enough to get us all the way up to the northern tip of New Zealand before sailing back down to the safety of the Bay of Islands.
We've just done all of the major capes around New Zealand. Pretty proud of that. That's a pretty big accomplishment.
But the boat had taken a decent pounding since Panama, so we decided to haul out for a yard period in Whangarei, which would be our final stop before heading north to Fiji. Whangarei is a very affordable option to get boat work done, with almost every service you'll need right there in town. You want your boat to be seaworthy heading offshore again, as Fiji is over 1,000 miles away in some extremely variable weather conditions, so stringent passage planning is a must. You'll be extremely sad to leave New Zealand, but the timing is perfect for you to escape the Kiwi winter and head north towards warmer climates. There is a hidden gem on the passage from New Zealand to Fiji, in the form of Minerva Reef, which is a submerged atoll in the middle of nowhere, which has more lobsters than you'll know what to do with.
Yeah, baby!
But more importantly, provides a comfortable anchorage and everything up to 30 knots. It is so surreal to be anchored in a lagoon with absolutely no land surrounding you whatsoever. You can wait here for as long as you want until you have the perfect weather window to make the 350-mile sail up to Fiji, which is a lot of people's favorite cruising grounds in the whole of the South Pacific.
Man, it is good to be here. We've been dreaming about this for years, basically. Everyone raves about Fiji as being one of their favorite sailing destinations ever.
Fiji has 4 ports of entry, including Savu, which is the closest place to clearing if you want to head to the Lau group of islands, which are often described as the most beautiful part of Fiji. You also have Suva and Denarau Marina, which has berths big enough to even accommodate super yachts. But for us, we couldn't resist experiencing the warm welcome of Vunda Marina.
Vunda Marina, this is Parlay, do you copy?
Which we had heard about from so many friends along the way, and boy did it live up to expectations. It's no mean feat sailing from New Zealand to Fiji, and to be welcomed into the country with such big smiles and open arms sets the bar pretty high as the most incredible welcome in any country in the world I've ever been to.
No other country would you get that. Unbelievable.
My eyes, my goodness, that was just so emotional. It was incredible.
And for the remainder of your time in Fiji, you'll be met with the same smiles as you did on this day, which is a legitimate representation of what the people of Fiji are truly like. And right off the doorstep of Unda Marina, you'll find some of the best waves in the world, such as Cloudbreak or restaurants.
The best wave of my life. It was insane, yeah.
Which are openly accessible by boat or dinghy, with none of the localism that you may have experienced at other surf spots around the world. There's so much to do in this whole area, whether you want to relax at one of the floating bars or get your adrenaline going with some serious off-road adventures. Fiji has it all.
That was the best ride I've ever done. That was so fun.
And just to the west of all this action are the Yasawa Islands, where you can get back to enjoying Mother Nature in all her glory.
On top of the world.
As with all of the South Pacific Islands, the local communities make this more special and unique than anywhere else I've ever been on my travels, and the kids grow up living life so free and full of life. Kava is a huge part of the lifestyle here as well, which brings people into a relaxed and loving state, a unique experience in its own right.
We're gonna go see how they prepare the kava. You hear some banging going on.
And a completely natural way to get a little buzz on, in moderation of course. Fiji is one of those places where one season just doesn't feel like long enough. So you have fair warning that it will be hard to leave this place, believe me. But rest assured, the adventure doesn't have to end there, when Vanuatu is just a stone's throw away. Well, a 500-mile stone's throw. But when arriving at Tanna Island, you are met with a live volcano spitting hot lava into the air, which is the most extreme introduction to a country I've ever experienced.
As soon as we got here, we heard this big
When all this hot magma came out, everyone just took a step back. That was so scary.
Tanna Island is the perfect place to make landfall in Vanuatu because the rest of the country is virtually downwind. And just when you thought the people of Fiji were the friendliest in the world, wait until you go to Vanuatu. Here the kids are taught to share since the day they were born, so the entire culture is literally based around being kind and generous. We couldn't resist taking the local kids for a sail, and to see the look on their faces is something I'll never forget.
We're gonna put the sail up now.
Yeah.
You ready?
We explained to them that we just wanted to reciprocate the kindness that they had shown us, to which they seemed to understand deeply.
That was so cool. They loved it. Such good little human beings. Hopefully they're the same when they're older. We'll come back and visit them.
To the north, you have Port Vila, a great place to reprovision. And just to the north of that, in Havana, we saw the location where there's a massive marina about to go in, capable of hosting even super yachts. This is going to be a game changer for the country, as it aims to promote cruising in their beautiful waters. If you've timed your travels up to Pentecost Island correctly, you'll be able to witness the mind-blowing tradition of vine jumping, which is the death-defying art of leaping off man-made towers with mere vines wrapped around your ankles. It is a coming-of-age ceremony which welcomes spectators from all around the world. But at this point in your travels, if it's a little bit of luxury you're after, you don't have to look far, as there are a few cruiser-friendly resorts around that welcome sailors in with open arms, such as Rotorua Resort near Luganville. Here we got to use the facilities and even swim with horses, which is one of the few places in the world you can do so. But there's something else that Vanuatu is famous for, and that is the unbelievable wreck dives from the remnants of World War II. Of particular note, $1 Million Point, where literally millions of dollars worth of equipment was pushed into the ocean after the war.
Well, that was pretty cool. That is a very unique experience to see all those tanks and jeeps
and the Coolidge shipwreck, which hit a mine and ran aground before sinking all those decades ago. But again, for us, the more remote, the better. So we headed to the most northern part of Vanuatu to immerse ourselves in the culture a little bit more before leaving the country. Here we helped our new friend Felix build a garden and shared many a meal with the local community.
It's good.
Learning, laughing, and basically becoming more and more humbled by such a simple and peaceful existence.
They say music is the universal language, and also soccer. Doesn't matter if you can't speak to them, you can play soccer with them.
I have to say, to this day, the people of Vanuatu are the most friendly I've ever met, which makes this one of the most special countries we've ever been to in the South Pacific.
I think the relationship between cruisers and the locals is very, very good and very peaceful here.
And considering the quality of the countries we've been to so far, that's saying a lot. But if you've made it this far, a country you must not forget is New Caledonia, a paradise where nature, ancient culture, and crystal clear waters collide. As you sail into Noumea, the cosmopolitan capital, you're welcomed by a French flair with a tropical twist.
1, 2.
Cafes, bustling markets, a vibrant nightlife, and plenty of kiteboarding spots just minutes away. But that's just your jumping off point. Once you leave the city and sail south, a red-soiled wilderness awaits packed with dramatic landscapes and giant forests. This landscape is quite the contrast to the Loyalty Islands to the east. And you don't want to miss Oro Bay in the Isle of Pines, a dreamy hidden lagoon with glowing blue water and pine trees, which looks like it's straight out of a fairy tale.
Now this is what I'm talking about!
New Caledonia's barrier reef is the second largest in the world, and therefore offers a multitude of protected anchorages and stunning coral reefs for you to dive to your heart's content. Although there have been concerns about cruising here in the past, we can confirm that this is completely cleared up now, and New Cal welcomes sailors into their paradise with open arms again. From here, the world is your oyster, as you could carry on to Australia, head up to the Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea like we did, or even head back down to New Zealand to hit all the places you missed the first time round. But whatever your future holds, the fact that you have sailed across the biggest ocean in the world to some of the most beautiful places on the planet will be an experience you will never, ever forget.
Without my love for the ocean, I would be long gone by now.
But the most profound of all are the people you'll meet. Anyone can appreciate beauty when you're looking at an incredible waterfall, or be mesmerized by white sandy beaches and idyllic shore lined with tropical palms. But to experience the amazing people and cultures as you sail your way through the South Pacific is something only those adventurous enough to do so will ever truly understand. 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the things you did. So what are you waiting for?